It's now or never here with NASCAR phenom William Byron Jr. Thanks for being here, man. How has the first week been? Tell us about it.
Oh, it's been fun, man. I've really just enjoyed the racing that we've been doing, and just the fact that we've been able to show up and race and put on a good show on TV. You know, obviously we can't have the fans there, but I think NASCAR's done a good job kind of putting it all together, and I've enjoyed, like I said, just showing up, racing, and having a couple races under our belt now.
What are the noticeable differences to you? What are you noticing most?
I think the biggest difference is we don't have all the pre-race hype that we typically have, so that's a little bit different to deal with. But I think honestly, once we're out on the racetrack, the structure and the way that the race flows is very similar. We've got a few different things. We've never done midweek races, so we're experimenting with that, and I think it's gone really well. I mean, I've enjoyed, you know, we were able to go to the same racetrack twice in Darlington, South Carolina, and the second race was at night. So I thought it was a really entertaining race. You know, so I'm looking forward to the next ones here at Charlotte coming up.
What about the lack of fans? Does that affect you at all or change the mindset in any way?
It does. I mean, you don't have the, you know, especially after the race, you don't have the boos or the cheers or whatever happens in terms of action on the track. So you don't, you know, obviously the cars are so loud, we don't hear that. We don't hear the drive, you know, the cheers and everything when we're in the race. But once we're outside of the car, we do. So you don't have that atmosphere post-race, kind of like that action and that excitement of victory or defeat or whatever. So a little different there.
When you're a rookie in most sports, William, it's you know, you're usually drafted by the team that needs you, the bad team, or, you know, who gets the top pick. In racing, it's a little different. You're a guy that's getting the number. You have the number 24 car. Your crew chief is the guy that worked with Jimmy Johnson. Is there a lot of pressure being put into a pretty great position right out the gate?
Oh, there is. I mean, there's pressure every week to perform. You know, being NASCAR, like you said, is a little different. It's not a, you know, you don't get drafted per se to the worst team of the previous year. So you're drafted to some of the best teams. You know, if you're picked up or selected by that team to drive for them. So you know, I'm fortunate to drive the 24 and you know, kind of earn that opportunity to get there. And I just enjoy it. It's pressure for sure, but we got a great race team, and Jeff Gordon has a big history in this and a big investment still in what we do. So we talk pretty consistently about what to do and kind of how to get better.
Obviously, with all that pressure, you got to stay sharp. So during the quarantine, did you use the eNASCAR as a way to stay on your game? Because apparently you were dominating the whole time. You won, what, 3 of 7 in the series?
Yeah, it was good. You know, that's my background, so I enjoy it. I feel like for us as NASCAR drivers, you know, our sport's different because we can really use that, and it's pretty similar to what we do on Sundays. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed winning those races. I think kind of gave some confidence and you know, just some momentum to go back into the real car. But obviously the real car is much different in itself. There's a lot of different things that happen in that car.
Do you dominate because you're the youngest guy in the Cup Series? Is that part of the reason why?
I'd like to say that, but I don't know. I'm not the most tech savvy guy, so I wish I was, but I don't know if it's the young thing or not.
Well, as a young guy and as a North Carolina guy, I was wondering if Jordan and The Last Dance inspired you or lit a fire in you in any sort of way when it comes to what you do.
It did. I mean, I think watching it was cool because I can relate a lot to, you know, I'm a Hornets fan. You know, I've grown up in Charlotte my whole life, so I've seen him at games and things like that. So it was fun to like watch that and kind of hear how he thinks and kind of gave me some ideas and as a driver just of how to approach things. And I liked how much fire he had about competing and just, you know, his ability, like his willingness just to work harder than everyone else was pretty cool.
Does that work nowadays, you think, that tough love, you know, everything to win mentality?
I think it does. I mean, I think it's probably quieter. You know, people don't talk about it as much of kind of that hard-nosed approach, but I think it still exists today. I mean, you know, there's obviously it's a little more behind the scenes, but you still have to have that killer mentality, that kind of killer instinct to be able to do well.
When Jimmy Johnson was with your crew chief, Chad Knaus, they always compared it to like Brady Belichick. Is he a hard-nosed kind of guy that way? Does he push you in that way? And is that what motivates you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Chad Knaus, my crew chief, is one of the toughest competitors. You know, he's really tough-spirited, you know, very, I wouldn't say hard on people, but he just holds everyone accountable. So kind of everyone on the team's held to that standard, you know, the pit crew, the guys working on the race car. So, and me, you know, so it is very similar, I think, to how Belichick and Brady were, because Jimmy's a little more laid back, and I think Brady is a slightly more laid back than Belichick. So it's kind of similar to that, I think.
You're a Carolina kid. You grew up with Cam Newton. Are you sad to see him gone or what?
Yeah, I think that he was good for a long period of time for us, but we kind of, I don't know if we could have made the next step with him still, just with like his health and everything. So I think that, I think just for the structure of the team, it was tough to see him go, but it's going to take some rebuilding. I hope I'm not too patient, so I hope that they have a good year this year. I know Luke Kuechly, retired, and so we're kind of up in limbo, but we do have McCaffrey, so hopefully McCaffrey can carry the team somewhat. We'll see.
Now, when you're a guy in the sports world and you're a young phenom there, is there a bond you have with some of those Carolina guys? Do you know them? Do you put it out there like, hey man, let's be the Carolina guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a pride thing with that. I think that I met McCaffrey at the Super Bowl this year, actually, and I follow those guys really closely. I mean, unfortunately, so on a normal Sunday when they're playing their games, I only get to watch the first couple of drives. So I typically have an idea if it's like 7-0 or something like that. But I mean, it's tough. I don't get to see the results till after, and sometimes I'm disappointed. Sometimes it's great, but it just depends on the race, or depends on the game.
Have you shot a tweet out to Teddy Bridgewater? Are you confident in him? Have you reached out?
I haven't reached out, no, but I think he's going to be good. I mean, I think he doesn't get enough credit for how good he is, how good his record is. I think he's a solid quarterback, so we'll see how it goes. I remember when he was with Minnesota, I think they were like a few games away from the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens.
So I read something. Tell me if this story is correct. Ryan Blaney, another driver. You start dating his lovely sister, and he finds out about it on the track.
Yeah, so we're actually pretty close. I've actually dated Erin for 7 months now, so we're pretty close now. But when we did, it was a little rocky at first when we started dating, just because we raced against each other, and I didn't handle it the best. I didn't talk to him right away about it, so I could have learned from that. But no, we get along great now. So it's funny though. It was kind of unique at first.
What does she root for?
You'd have to ask her. I think she's probably 50-50 on that.
But it depends if you're in the doghouse or not that week. That's
true.
Exactly. Hey, man, well, continued success. Good luck this week, and thank you for hanging out with us on Now or Never.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.